Hello, hello, lovely people. Welcome in to yet another episode of That Sounds Gay. My name is Jer, and I will be your podcast host for a short period of time. We are in like the home stretch. I think if it's a sports ball reference of Pride Month, that doesn't mean that Pride is over, but it feels pretty crazy that June is almost finished. I don't know if any of you are feeling like this month kind of flew by in a blink, but it really did. It zoomed. There's been so much happening, so much going on. As of today, when I'm recording this, there was a Nintendo Direct, and for anyone who follows any of the Nintendo news, they talked a little bit about the Mario Kart next wave that's dropping, and my cat is singing, and I'm excited that there are some new characters that are dropping for anybody who cares about it, but they added the strangest map track that's themed after a bathroom, and I'm like, huh? Who asked for this? Who asked for this bathroom thing? And I feel like I've been talking about bathroom stuff a lot this week, so I'm not gonna talk about it extensively, but I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't get it. But yeah, we're coming up into the home stretch, and I'm really excited for this episode because my good friend Tim is back again, otherwise known as Banana Extravaganza. And we talked about so many things. We wanted to talk about initially the idea of queer people having this second adolescence. Because there's this theory that as queer people, we have this, that we don't have the same type of timetable of how we progress through big major adult goals like our heterosexual counterparts do. And there's thusly a subset of adolescence that comes back in because we're sort of re-experiencing everything. We're coming back into a time where we're actually out and we're comfortable to date and flirt the people that we're interested in. Whereas straight people normally get that opportunity at a very young age. We have to mask for a long time. So when we take that mask off, it's sort of like you're redeveloping all those skills because you go through all that awkwardness again of how do you flirt with someone? How do you ask someone out? Hooking up just for fun because you're experimenting with your bodies and things like that. And we ended up coming up with some pretty funny conclusions. And every time that I get to hang out with Tim in any capacity, he makes me laugh so hard. He is just such an absolute joy and a light and a beautiful presence. And I've really enjoyed the times that we've been able to have him on here. I'm so excited for that. But let's get into what sounds gay this week. If you have a PC and you have Steam, I highly recommend, this is an unpaid advertisement, highly recommend that you play Tell Me Why. It is a free to play story driven game where your choices matter and the main character is a trans mask person. And what I think was the best part about it was that his transness was not a plot point. His transness was not a major stopgap for everything else that he did. So many times in a lot of media where queer people are represented, we're often shown like, oh, this person is really gay and they're so gay that they have to get over their gay thing before they can do everything else. And that's their stop point. They begin and end at their queerness. And not everybody is like that. There are some people like me who definitely most of my personality is around me being a queer person because I wasn't allowed to be for such a long time. And now that I can be out and proud in me, I'm not letting anybody dim that in any capacity. So, you see a lot of times there are these characters that get shown and they're not quite out yet or they're struggling with it. They're struggling with their sexuality because they want to be a gay person, but they just can't because what will everybody think of them? And that's an important story and those should be told, but not every single time. And trans people very rarely get represented in media, if when they do, they oftentimes are sort of shown as this like joke character, someone not really to be taken seriously, and very rarely, even more, are trans masc people represented in any type of media. I can't think of the last time that I saw a trans masc person in a piece of media. I see a lot of trans masc people on TikTok, see that representation all over, but I don't really see it in media that often. And that was what was really nice about it, is that one of the main characters of the two has this just as a background point. It's he likes XYZ and he also likes purple as his favorite color. You know, like it had nothing to do with his progression in the story. And I thought that was great. There are definitely themes and plots around his transness that are discussed. Some familial things that are brought up and are discussed in there, and how the mom perceived him. And I thought that those were really well done points. But I just wanted to make sure that all of you knew, in case you haven't played this game or you've heard of it and you thought, I would love to play that. It's a queer game and I want to be able to experience that. It's free for the rest of the month of June. It comes free every single June, which I did not know, and that's why I played it. It was very, very, very good. I love a story that's got some sort of dark themes in it, almost like a suspense mystery, which was a lot of it. And I really turn up to things that are like that. I've always enjoyed a good mystery, a good clue to solve, a end point where the rug gets pulled out from underneath our feet and we have no idea what the end result is. There's all these twists and turns along the way that eventually you get back to the theory that you had maybe initially, that you sort of wrote off because you thought, oh no, it's probably not the butler that did it. Surely there's no way that the butler killed Mr. Body. There's no way. And you go through the whole movie and the whole game, whatever, and then you get to the end and you're like, oh my God, it was the butler? But I thought we cleared his name. And I love things like that. Those types of media really make my brain turn. I've always loved writers like Agatha Christie because of what she was able to accomplish in her writing, being the queen of suspense and mystery. And that's what really opened up the doors for that. And that's what was great about Tell Me Why, is that it's a dark mystery with suspense, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Beautiful, beautiful game. Let's get into this episode with Banana. So excited. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you as always for tuning in, and I hope that you are continuing to enjoy Pride Month, continuing to live as authentically as you can, and just be very proud of yourself for that. Okay, let's get into this.
Please don't actually put horns in. Can it just be our words of ba 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 ba? Like,
It's
I'm
gonna
doing
be
really
that.
good.
I'm gonna add that to a soundboard, and it'll be you and I just making that sound.
And then we immediately get banned on all social media platforms.
They're like, please never do that again. Do you know Alaska says, like, please stop immediately in season 5?
Please stop immediately.
That'll be
yes.
the collective internet. They're like, please stop. Do not do this again.
It's so weird. Once we released that, we've been DDoSed every day. I don't know what else to do. Anyway, hi.
Hi. Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month.
It's pretty crazy that we're already here. That means that the year is half over.
I know. God.
I've,
Every now and then, like I'll like change the date on something and it'll be like September 22. No, it hasn't been that for quite some time.
right? The other day I wrote down, just out of like, I was writing down the year in my calendar book, and I'm like, what year is it? Is it 20? Is it 21? Is it 22? They're all just one big blur.
It's Drag Race lip sync
Oh
with
my
Monet
God.
Exchange when she turns around and you can't see her lips moving to like the words. It's like it's 20. Who knows anymore? Who cares anymore? There's a whole lot of it's like middle. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Drag Race franchise. What season are we in right now? I don't know. There's
I
been
don't
20 in the last year.
God. And then Canada and yeah, who knows anymore?
UK
Honestly.
season 28 and Netherlands season 1 and Mexico City season 2, Salt Lake City, Utah season 1.
Wait, wasn't that the Real Housewives? Is there an actual Utah?
Utah's a state, I think.
No, I know that. I picked up that Utah is a state in the United States of America. I'm aware of that. Is there a Drag Race Utah?
No.
Okay.
I'm just being farcical. I just think it'd be funny if it went to like the state level and it's like Drag Race LA, Drag Race Utah, Drag Race Tampa. Be like, I wouldn't put it past Drag Race to do that.
I mean, I wouldn't be like surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I had a moment where I was just sitting there like, is there a Drag Race Utah? I panicked so hard. Like, how far out of this am I?
Okay, this is me asking this genuinely because I'm a slightly unintelligent person. Utah's the Mormon state, right?
It surely is.
It surely is.
It
So Drag Race Utah would be like, come on, Utah citizens, let's get Mormoning.
Let's get married. It'd be, oh my God, here comes Becky with her nightgown. And that's the whole Drag Race. She has a wig reveal and it reveals a night bonnet. Like it's
Could you imagine the drag theater of what that would look like? And it's like, this season of Drag Race Salt Lake City, we have our first nun performer. And every single episode is her in like a different rhinestone habit. And like a different color. It's like, we're branching out from Mormonism.
all right. We have our first lip sync challenge. Go off, ladies. Our God is an awesome.
And everybody's in the back, just the slow claps.
Choking on everything. God, can I be honest? Now
Please.
I desperately want Drag Race Utah.
I
didn't realize
do.
how much I needed this in my life.
I would die. On the state level, I think it'd be so funny to see the very regional form of what drag would be. But then you get into these states where there's a hyper inflation of one particular ideology, like Utah, where there is so much Mormon saturation. To see what that would look like in drag would be so entertaining.
It really
I would die.
It would be, and like, I mean, I think, they talk about, a lot of drag queens talk about like coming from other places where like they have pageants and other things with some of the other girls that also show up on Drag Race or
Right.
are kind of have a national stage. And how everyone kind of has the same vibe. And so I think it'd be really interesting of like, everyone would kind of maybe even look the same or have the same kind of, feel, but how do they judge that? I don't know.
Right.
I'd be into it.
I've done a pageant once. It was years ago, and it was only like a prelim to the actual national or statewide pageant. I did not make it through because it is not for me, but I had a really fun time with it. But it's very interesting to see the pageant scene. Have you ever seen a drag pageant?
I have one. Yeah.
It was so glamorous.
It was like breathtaking. It was shocking of just like the beauty, the artistry, the glam, the like, and let's be honest on the podcast. Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Let's be honest on the. This is every time now. I'm gonna remember.
Be honest on the pod.
Like drag queens notoriously are like late to things. Are very
Oh.
like often like kind of like blasé about things, like, yeah, whatever. The organization behind the pageantry was like mind-boggling. Like everything had a place, everything
Yeah.
had a time. It was, I mean, maybe this is like a hyper, but like I've gone to one, so.
I mean, it was the same in the one that I did, and the girls were scrambling. The girls that were normally chronically late to things were panicking because the lights were going down, and they're like, I have to be in my gown so that we could do the walk. And people were freaking out. I did this number once with this queen who was notoriously late to freaking everything. The show was supposed to start at 10, and she gets on the mic because she hasn't even started her makeup. And
Oh
I'm
no.
in full beat. I'm ready. I've got my wig. I got my pads. I've been in for hours because it was about an hour and a half drive from where I was, because I was taking gigs wherever I could get them. And the house was pretty packed. Like, there were a lot of people, and I was very excited. I'm like, I can't wait. I'm probably going to make a lot of money tonight. All right, everybody, it's 10 o'clock. Our show's going to start in 30 minutes. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, you cannot get your face done in 30 minutes. I know what your mug looks like. 10:30 rolls around. All right, everybody, I hope you're getting a drink at the bar. Show's going to be in 15. Hits 11:30, 11:45. Finally, it's like 2 minutes to midnight, and she starts the show. It is a Thursday night.
Man.
At a midnight, there are 4 people left in the bar. It is me, it is her, it is a couple of the girls, and all of our partners that brought us. And like
Oh no.
one random drunk dude that was not ready to go home yet.
Who's like just chugging water and being like, hey,
I gotta get out of here before the show
they can't
starts.
afford the lift. Yeah.
Notoriously late to literally everything.
Miserable.
Speaking of drag, you did some drag recently on stream. Tell me everything. How was that for you? How was the experience for you?
Yeah, so we the community, we had grown over 1,000 followers on stream. I'm not trying
Congratulations.
to braggalicious about my stream.
No,
on
please,
this podcast,
congratulations.
but it was and I mean I've never thought I'd get to 1,000 plus followers. It's just crazy. Yeah, so like the stream like had chosen what we want to do to celebrate, and they chose drag, and I was like, sure. Let's just try it out. And I was like, it's gonna be easy. I got this, no problem. I've been in drag before, like whatever. And for everyone who saw the results, it wasn't all that easy. No, it was like it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of learning. Like
Yeah.
I did not realize how little I knew. And I think I talked about this when we were streaming, of like my experience in drag had been going to the bar, and me and the girls would hang out, and like I'd drink my drinks and we'd gossip while they put makeup on me. And maybe occasionally I would like my makeup artistry primarily I'm gonna put on blush. Like,
Right.
that's it.
Some tinted
So
moisturizer.
yeah, I'm gonna draw some eyebrows and that are already done, like,
Right.
so I didn't realize how little I'd actually done drag, and like how so unbelievably difficult it is to do it to yourself.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know, it was so much fun.
Good.
And like it's like a creative outlet that like I remember like just thinking during the time of like, what look I'm not just trying to like be a drag queen. Like, what look am I going for? Am I looking for like beautiful? Am I mimicking someone? And like I did not have any questions. So it was like kind of first time in drag was hard and so much fun.
It really is. It really is. I remember my first time, and I remember looking in the mirror, and I thought I was it. You could not tell me anything. I was like, oh, she's cunty today. Let's go. But looking back, I'm like, ooh, that was a mess. I've deleted all those photos so nobody can find them anymore. If you dig back in my YouTube, you probably could find something, but I looked a mess. But you could not tell me that I didn't look good. I had like a $6 Daiso wig. Like, I was not doing anything groundbreaking. But that's how artistry starts in any form, you know? There's always the rough years. people who are excellent painters now started with stick figures at some point. But
Anyone who starts something talented is either lying or like a prodigy, like one in a billion, like
right. And it's so rare that that happens.
yeah.
Did anything get unlocked for you out of curiosity?
There was a moment. I think I was doing either my eyebrows or my eyeshadow, and you and I were talking. And there was a moment like where and I think I even brought this up, like I was so intently listening to you. So I could like respond and like, hear you. And then I was so also like focused on putting on the eyeshadow correctly.
Right.
And like the rest of the world, like melted away. It didn't matter. It was just this like almost like serene moment of like, oh,
Yeah.
this is like how I don't know how to put it into words of like the experiences I felt, the thoughts that I thought, like of just this like it was so nice to like not have 15 things going on. It was so nice to like be able to focus on something that like is creative and interesting and like fun. And hanging out with you, Jer, who is
I
like
had so much
incredibly
fun.
fun. It was so good.
I was trying to toe a balance of, okay, I'm teacher here, but also I think I need to read a little bit. So I was like towing the line so hard because I wanted to encourage you and I didn't want to discourage. But at the same time, I'm like, Mama, a brush through that wig, just a brush. Just one swipe through. That's
Then I pull out the little fine tooth comb.
I screamed. So this bitch, for everybody who's listening who was not there, this bitch pulls out a fine tooth comb and starts gently massaging the wig. I wouldn't even say it was not brushing. That was a massage on those hairs, a fine massage. And I looked at that scraggly wig and I thought, Mama, this cannot be the reality right now.
Someone said it must have been Ellis. I don't know who, but like, because Ellis was on a journey.
Oh, fully. Ellis was having an aneurysm.
It was so fun. Someone said it looks like that wig is so snatched, but by the tornado at the beginning of Wizard of Oz.
I think that was Ellis.
So fucking funny.
Oh my God.
I have I have since gotten a better brush.
Okay.
And began brushing. So she's a little brush. Is she on the floor right now? Yes. But you can only expect so much.
Are you planning on doing another one?
I think so.
Ooh.
And I promise I'll buy primer and brushes.
Please, and eyelash glue and please a glue stick for God's sake. For God's sake.
Everything.
Please buy every product that you need. No, I feel that sense of serenity that you were talking about. There's something about paying attention to the foundation of your face. And when you see yourself in the mirror and you're putting on this product and you're seeing yourself transform in front of your eyes, that there's this sort of tranquility that washes over you, that you almost become your truest self in a weird way. You see you in a way that you haven't not seen before. And it's such a weird thing that drag in particular unlocks. And I think makeup can certainly do that if you're doing like full beats and all that. But there's something that unlocks that's in there that allows you to see a more authentic version of who you are. There's something so vulnerable about seeing yourself in that state. And it's impossible to explain, but that's like a big part of the high of doing drag, at least for me, is sort of getting recentered with myself. Because I view my drag character as someone who is so much more authentically me than even I am. Because they are completely unguarded. That character has no real boundaries. She just does whatever she wants and says what she wants. And there's not really any risk or implication of what happens next because that all falls on the character. In the same way that I feel like sometimes streaming, I can sort of be a little more of that raw version of who I am, because everything's, even though it's a character, I'm sort of sitting with myself through that, you know? It's
Yeah.
hard to explain.
I think you're putting yourself in a position where others are viewing you, and or like you're putting yourself in a position changing who you are. And also like so like how often in our daily lives are we sitting around thinking about like our direct selves, our direct impact on like, things going on, and also like how we're presenting. And I mean, well, maybe not
Yes.
actually, but like, I for hashtag anxiety folks, I think we're
Oh,
all
well.
at how we're
Same.
presenting. But I think it was like it just it it gives you that moment of like pause, and you get to see yourself maybe as you truly are, maybe as someone else. And like I think that, yeah, any type of like code switching, or changing who you are based on your audience, so so vital and important to like keep an eye on and like track and like be aware of, and then also to just lean into it heavily,
Yes.
because that's who you're going to be in that kind of setting. So um I don't know why I'm like, let me tell you everything about Jeremy, sit down, let me tell you everything about drag. I've done it once.
Please, I would love to hear this.
No,
I'm
don't.
like doing that Willy Wonka thing, that meme where it's like, tell me more. That
Yeah.
one.
Let me pull out my primer.
Let me pull up my question mark product that's makeup related and get my Drag Race encyclopedia out so I can read you the house down boots. Oh, darling.
I actively opened up an article to like walk me through how to put on drag, and it
I
was
know.
sponsored by Elf. It was like, use Elf primer right now.
I do want to say, though, as someone who started with e.l.f., there's a lot of really good e.l.f. makeup out there,
Mhm.
but you have to really figure out what's better for you. And e.l.f. is not the best for drag. Some of like the base stuff, like their primer is very, very good. I will say, their primer is very good.
Yeah. I wouldn't know. But I'll agree just implicitly. Yeah, sure.
You wouldn't know because you didn't use any.
I don't have primer.
The way that I had a stroke. I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and you're like, "Oh, I don't have a glue stick." I'm like, you know that the there's this very specific shocked sound effect that I heard, and I like started typing immediately. I'm like, "What the fuck do you mean you don't have these things?"
I could hear your typing from Oregon, the state that I live in. Like we're hundreds of miles away from each other. Like, oh no, the force. I can feel Jeremy just like just coming apart.
I'm like, "Listen, I love you dearly. I
Yeah.
just don't love this."
Your actions do not reflect how I feel about you.
They're hurting me right now, actively hurting me.
Well, and I want to say too, like, first of all, thank you for, you jumped on and we worked together for like 2 hours.
Oh,
So
it
I
was so much
can't tell you how
fun.
much I appreciate you. Like, you were loading up the Sims to like do Simshare or something like that. And you were like, hold on, I gotta close this and help my poor queer friend who's an idiot. Like, Jesus. So thank you. But like be
Yeah.
back to like what you were saying too, of like unlocked something of it was just like I think that everyone needs like a creative outlet, and this
Mm-hmm.
was not one that I thought would appeal or be interesting to me, and I was
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
And I have other creative outlets like
Mm-hmm.
of streaming, of Dungeons and Dragons, and I think like that's so interesting to like be aware of like all the different creative outlets that people can have, and
Mm-hmm.
never poo poo someone's, but like, yeah, I never thought drag would be an interesting one to like have. But now there's a thought of like, oh, who could I be, who could I present as,
Mm-hmm.
how to be better at the work,
Yeah. That
how
makes
to present
sense.
better.
And I think, like I said, I think you have a really nice canvas for makeup. I have such a a difficult face because my brow bones are kind of low. The way that my eyes are set, it's hard to do certain shapes on my face. You have a really lovely face for doing makeup on, and I could see you doing some really incredible looks. If it was something you ever wanted to pursue, I could see it for you. But we gotta get those brushes. And
Did you just say I have a beautiful look? Oh,
I
she
think you
pretty.
could. I
Mm.
mean, I think for starting out and that being your first time doing it on your own, I could really see the potential of what could be. Like I could just see it looking. But
So it's a PSA to everyone. Go to your local Sephora, spend $300, become a drag queen.
oh
Go
my
right now.
god.
Press pause on the podcast right now. Go.
Please.
Come back.
Damn. I spent a lot of money at Sephora that I wish if I could go back right now and change it, I would definitely do it. ColourPop is really where it's at. ColourPop is great for having, and I wish that Morphe wasn't going down the tube because Morphe was really quintessential for me starting out. They had such affordable makeup and products that were just, they were peak. And it makes it very sad that they're dipping down, but, that happens.
Yeah. And you know what? In this day and age, everyone deserves to get canceled. So,
Right.
Morphe, bye. I don't know
Right.
what they've done.
It it had a lot to do with so many different factors, but the long and short is there was something in this last product line that they did that started the default, and I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was making people break out like crazy. There was
Oh.
something in it that was harmful to your skin.
Oh.
And then a bunch of their brand deals pulled out because they were working with Jeffree, they were working with James Charles, and after the two of them had their issues, they had issues. Jaclyn Hill, they partnered with, she had a bunch of drama. So it's like, I think it's very obvious in the branding world. When you work with people, you are dealing with so many factors outside of your control because you're contracting. You don't, these people aren't their employees. They're a contracted representative of their brand. And if someone like James Charles gets in a huge scandal, that negatively bounces back on your media image, even if you are not responsible. So you either have to make the decision, cut them off and lose all that marketing, embrace them, lose marketing, or do nothing and lose marketing. It's like
Right.
there's no right decision with that. And I think the beauty industry has taken such a huge dramatic turn after all that YouTube drama, and now that TikTok is kind of becoming the front and anybody could be a beauty influencer. You don't have to be Jeffree Star to have a million people watching you do makeup,
Well, and now, like, the term beauty influencer, birdie influencer.
Birdie
even.
influencer. I
Birdie,
like that.
anyone who influences Birdie. If your name is Birdie out there, I see you.
Isn't that a singer or something?
Birdie? I have no idea. I keep thinking of, like, it's a nickname for Big Bird.
Oh
Hey,
my
Birdie.
God, please.
Um,
Oh yeah, Birdie. Birdie is,
But-
her name is Jasmine Lucilla. She goes by Birdie.
Birdie.
Huh. I don't know anything about her. I don't know.
Anyway,
Sorry.
but like beauty influencer, yeah, no, total tangent. Beauty influencer has like a negative connotation. Like
Yes.
whenever I hear beauty influencer, my first like instinctual reaction is like, oh, like I don't wanna. I'm not interested in like what you have or are doing, like I don't know.
Right.
I think that there's still some good tips and still some good things to learn and like genuinely good products that might be out there.
Right.
But like I think that a lot of the beauty influencers that got canceled or that simply and solely use their product for selfish reasons or for terrible reasons, like it was so prevalent that like the whole industry needs to be put in timeout for a little bit. They have to
Fully.
think about what they've done.
Go in the corner, think about how you've ruined everything, and then come back to us in a couple years when you've thought about it. But
Yeah.
until then, we're gonna pull a pause. Yeah, it was a lot, and I mean, I never got caught up in all that. It never really appealed to me, all the drama. it just was like, ugh, I'm too old for all this. Just tell me how to put makeup on my face, please.
Yeah, I don't need to know about. Although, okay, alternatively, the James Charles drama,
Sucking dick and
awful.
cock.
Sucking dick and cock,
So funny.
miserable.
Oh, and you did it at my birthday party. Time and place. So horrendously funny.
So funny. It's also like, I don't know. We've talked about this a few times of like, whenever there's gossip, it's like I want to put myself away from it. I'm too old. I've got other things going on, but then also there's a deep, dark, evil part of you that's like yum 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 gossip.
Yes.
I'm gonna everything. I want to hear both sides. I want to
Mm-hmm.
know people's opinions. I'm going to run a community poll. I'm going to run a Twitter poll and we're going to talk about the yum. I'm fucking Cookie Monster with that cookie just rah, 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 rah. So like there's like two parts, I think.
Right? Oh my God. You're right, though. And that kind of bleeds into what I wanted to talk about today, which is there's this theory. I don't know if you've heard about this before. There's this theory that queer people go through like a second adolescent state in our lives. And the theory is that because we don't hit certain mile markers that our heterosexual counterparts are hitting, that we sort of have this secondary growth period. And sometimes I wonder if the reason why so many of us turn up to all that drama is because we are hitting that secondary growth phase. Have you heard about this?
I have, yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
So many thoughts.
Tell me all of them.
I think, well, so there's, God, where do we even start?
Right.
There is I think that it's true. I think that there is, for a lot of queer people, a lot of secondary growth. I think that there's a new awakening. I think that queer people just inherently, because of our societal kind of influences on queer culture, like have to just develop and learn and change differently than our
Yes.
heterosexual counterparts because we have different experiences
Mm-hmm.
than heterosexuals.
We're
I mean,
repressing our identities, or at least probably for our age. I wonder if it may be less so for the younger generation, but we're repressing our identities for so long, and we're not truly being us. Well, in these formative years where our counterparts are getting in relationships with people that they actually like, they're having first kiss with people that they actually want to kiss, they're getting married, and then meanwhile, when it's safe for us to come out in our 20s, we suddenly are doing all that formative growth all over again.
right. And I mean, how many, like, truly, genuinely, I'm hoping everyone about how many of our friends do we know that are queer and that they have married their high school sweetheart? Like, that are heterosexual, not our heterosexual queer friends, our heterosexual friends, like, that's the goal.
Oh
You
yeah.
marry your high school sweetheart. No one I know has, because we all were in the closet, we all were
Mm-hmm.
places we might not have discovered who we were at that time or really put thought in. But yeah, I like, so those, like, those formative years were like, I'm having my first kiss, I'm taking them to prom, I'm holding hands in public, things that like are simple goals for heterosexuals are just so challenging and such a huge hill to cross for queer people that I think in the upcoming generation is much more accepted, much more, just apparent. But like
Mm-hmm.
for me in high school, like hiding who I was, being afraid to talk to anyone in public that I was maybe doing anything with, like it's just there was a lot of shame and a lot of guilt and a lot of
Mm.
fear. And now that, like, coming to, we missed a lot of those opportunities. So like buying my dream house, having a kid and a dog and a white picket fence, those are all
Right.
mile markers that I think are missed,
Right.
and that we're behind on.
Yeah, and we had talked about the drag thing kind of unlocking something and and masking and code switching and all that. Sometimes I look back at my pre come out era
Mhm.
and I think I don't even know who that person is. That was all an act. I was doing drag in high school, you know? Like, for all
Right.
intents and purposes, I wasn't putting on outfits and makeup or wigs and, all that, all the glamour and glitz, but I was dressing in a way that was conforming to the standard. I was doing my hair in a way that was conforming to a standard. I walked a certain way. I talked a certain way to mask all of these things inside. I was performing. Really,
Yeah.
truly. I mean, I was putting on the performance of a lifetime. Did anyone
Oh,
buy tickets to that performance and say that it was a rave review? No. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, we been knew that you were sucking dick and cock." We all knew that. No, I wasn't sucking dick and cock in high school. But like I don't think anybody bought the performance. But I was performing, you know?
yeah.
And
And
I don't know who that
or
person is.
or otherwise you were hiding.
Right.
And that's like the hard part of, afraid of whatever consequences might exist for coming out or being who you truly are. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how, like, it's anecdotal, of course, but like, how many, like, I think a lot of queer people, shoot, we talk a lot about like queer people in big spaces that can like have like telepathetic or tele,
Telepathic.
tele, they can read each other from across the room. I'm just gonna skip the word entirely. That word's in the garbage can now. We don't. It's gone. I hate
The
that word.
telethon.
The telethon. Yeah, they have a telethon for children. No, that they can like read each other from the room just based on like looks. And so
Yes.
I think like inherently, and also because of like the way that we grew up and the way that we sort of are, I think like queer people are just inherently more empathetic, can read
Mm.
people better. We're all dramatic and we all can become actors. But like, no, but like these are all shared experiences. And I think we all kind of have that same experience of hiding who we were and not being as open as we could have been.
I know we were kind of talking when we were co-streaming the drag thing about our coming out experiences, and I mean, yeah, mine was terrible, and I know some people have really great ones, some people have really neutral ones, but we can and we talked about this in our first podcast together about shared experiences. I think many of us in our age range distinctly have the shared experience of masking and hiding
Yeah.
and not being ourselves, no matter what the result was afterwards. We all know what that's like to put on an Oscar-worthy performance in high school so that people didn't know that we were a little bit fruity, you know?
Hmm.
we just couldn't be found. We couldn't be seen because it wasn't safe at the time.
We were trying to suck dick and cock. Or, I don't know, some clams. You know who you are out there. I don't know what you're up to. But yeah, no.
I need to say this really quick. My first kiss ever was at like 18 or maybe 19 years old in a Jack in the Box parking lot. And it was the worst kiss in the universe. I'm sorry, Derek, if you're listening. That was a terrible kiss. And I tried so hard to like just figure out what sex looked like with another human being. I was willing to do it in a bathroom at the Hollywood Video to try and figure out what all that was, because like there wasn't really a safe space to do that. I knew all these straight people that were in my high school that were just like hanging out at their home, and then their parents would go in the kitchen and they just start fucking real quick. And like it was a safe space for them to do that and to explore that. And like as queer people, I don't think many of us really get that opportunity, at least in our age group. I don't think we really get that opportunity until we're much older,
Yeah.
and have spaces where we can sort of retreat to. Because if your family has even the slightest inkling that you might be a little bit light in your loafers. Have you heard that phrase?
I have.
I love that phrase, and I've been reclaiming it for myself. It's
A
my
little light
favorite
in your
phrase. When you're a little light in your loafers and you have someone over of your same assigned gender, the eyebrow raises, and it's like, what y'all doing in there? It's like,
Yeah.
nothing. We're not doing anything because I would not be caught dead here. And it's just funny, like, the brazenness that I'll talk to my straight friends who are like, oh, yeah, I was having sex in 8th grade. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I could never even imagine trying to have pursued something at that age. And it just didn't feel safe. It felt like at every single corner, someone was going to pop up, you know? And like, I don't know many straight people that had that fear of like
And
getting caught.
right. And for the heterosexual friends, if you get caught having sex, then like, ooh, you were having sex, and that's like the, you know,
You're a cool
everyone,
kid.
you're a cool kid, or like everyone makes fun of you for whatever.
Right.
Of like, but if you're a queer person, now all of a sudden there's like, I'm exposed. If I'm
Right.
not out, what does that look like? You know, will they be hateful towards me because of who I am? Like, yeah. And, you know, I think especially in high school, a lot of people, again, like I haven't been to high school in a very long time. God, we're coming up to 15 years, I think. God, I'm so old.
I don't want you to say that to me because I graduated in '07.
I graduated '09. I was 2 years after you. So we're in the same boat here, Mama.
In
I
5 years, it'll be 20, right?
20
Oh, no.
years. Yeah, it's common. But like so it could very well be incredibly different. But like I had an experience in middle school where I came out very early. But there was a downside of that. Cuz I mean, you hear my voice. There ain't no hiding.
See,
I
I
had
used to
an
talk down here all the time.
Oh,
I
did you?
talk down here so that nobody would know.
I sound like whenever I try to deepen my voice, I sound like Wintergreen from
You stop that right now.
I know. But
Obsessed.
I love it. But I had this experience in middle school where people knew I was out and queer and gay, and so we were after gym class, we were in a locker room, and all these teenage boys would stand in like a circle around me to like make sure I wasn't watching them get dressed and change, and like. I mean, all of us have that experience in middle school where we're like ashamed of our bodies and don't want to show. And like, I was surrounded by straight men who didn't trust me and were like antagonizing me. And it was miserable. It was so awful.
I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
I mean, it was what it was. And it really opened up a lot of like, bigger feelings that now as an adult, thank God for therapy, I fixed and I changed and I get to address. But like it was like that's not an experience that any heterosexual person has even thought of, you know.
No.
But like as a queer person, like that's what we kind of go through, and like
Yeah.
I think that like that was a lot of symbolism to like what our community goes through. A lot of like there's always more eyes on us than there are for other people.
Yeah. Do you feel like, in particular with you coming out so early, do you feel like that kind of helped you develop mentally around the same pacing that everybody else was, or do you still feel like maybe that was some type of hindrance?
I mean, so there's like the reality too of like, what is it, like 10% of the population is queer, so like the majority of our dating pool just a little smaller.
A little bit.
So, yeah, so like, you know, I mean, there's that reality. And then one of the other things that I wanted to kind of bring up too is like as we're getting older and it's like, oh, you know, like the goal is for heterosexual, you get married and buy a house. The housing crisis.
Right.
So like where does the like queerness, you know, of being in a different timeline than heterosexual people kind of end, and like where does like capitalism and the economy kind of be? It's a little confusing as to how that is, but you know, I
want to make it clear too that I don't think that like heteronormativity is that great. I think there's a lot of problems with it, and I think a lot of us are dismantling that idea of we have to catch up with them, and I certainly don't think that that's your thought process either. Is like, I got to do what all the straights are doing too. But that is definitely something that I think a lot of us compare ourselves to because that's all we know. That's all we have.
it's always been the standard.
Exactly.
And we've all had the experience of like our uncle, our grandma, our own parents being like, so when are you getting married?
Mm-hmm.
So when are you doing X, Y, and Z? You know, and like
When are you having
having
babies?
those.
When are you getting a house? When are we having
Exactly.
grandkids? Yeah.
And for it's been the standard, I think, for a lot of generations
Mm-hmm.
of, you know, at 20 you get married, at 25 you have a house, and then, you know, at 50 something you retire, and that's not what it is anymore. But, you know, I mean, that's always been the experience. So it's not like, yeah, I don't think that we as queer people should just live our lives
Right.
and do the best that we can, because that's all we can do.
Exactly.
Um, and for those of you
Quoting
that
me, I
are
see you.
but for those of us that are out there that like want some kind of comparison or want some kind of like goal to achieve, like, you know, that bar that's set, like, I mean, the heterosexual standard that is the only one that is there and
Right.
available.
At least for
So
now.
yeah.
And I think we're slowly kind of the gay agenda is doing what it's doing, you know? And I don't
Hmm.
know, I think for me it took many years after that coming out process because I feel like I sort of reset everything because it was like, okay, going to, I feel like for me, I was textbook second adolescence because it's like, okay, I come out. Now I get to actually date. I get to actually
Hmm.
interact with people that I'm interested in romantically, sexually, physically, all of that. And I get to actually experience these things for the first time. And so it's almost like everything got reset, and it was many years after that that I was like, okay, here are my new goals and here's what I want for my life. And I think I was still kind of comparing that a little bit to heteronormativity in some
Hmm.
way of like, okay, well, I still gotta get married and I gotta do this and I gotta do that. And I realized after a period of time, like, oh no, it's fine, my children are my cats. I don't
Hmm.
know how old your parents were when they had you. My mom and dad were 19.
Wow.
By my age right now, I was no, 13. I can't imagine having a teenager running around this apartment, back
Right.
talking to me, acne, smelling like BO, telling me that they're not going to do their homework and doing all this nonsense. I could not imagine.
And
I
just sitting
still
there
feel
being
like a
like,
child still.
I got credit card debt. Like, shut up. You have back knee? I got back knee. Fuck off.
Right?
Like,
You want Accutane? Me too, bitch.
yeah.
Me too.
Find a Groupon, dumbass. Like, I don't know. Get into it. Yeah.
Go on Retail
Uh,
Me Not, and I'll figure out if we can get some little 10% off an online purchase for that.
Go watch a Jeremy stream. We're gonna get a coupon
Please.
code. Add Jeremy. Yeah. No. I that was not a dig, by the way. I promise.
You're so fine. You're
I
so
just realized I
fine.
was like, uh-oh, could that be taken poorly?
Will say I had really bad back knee though. I had really bad acne
Mm,
in general. I did have to go on. I don't remember if it was Accutane or what it was, but I actually had to be like evaluated by a psychiatrist every couple of months to make sure that I wasn't gonna do any harm to
oh.
myself because the drug I was taking, it was so intense to like change your chemicals so that you would stop because it was so bad. I would like come home and cry about my acne, and my parents were like, we gotta try this. It's the only thing we've got." So like, I did actually have really bad. It's not a thing anymore, but I did have really bad acne.
Can I just
I
say
can.
I feel terrible. I'm so sorry. Not because you had the back knee, but because I decided that this is the path that I'm going to talk about.
Please.
So I'm
What is
so
that line
sorry.
in Mean Girls? I'm sorry that I said this and that to you, and I'm sorry for bringing it up now.
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
it's
But like,
okay. We are allowed to laugh at our trauma as queer
yes.
people.
Yeah. No. And if any heterosexual person is laughing or is listening out there, if I hear you laughing about this, how dare you?
How dare you on Pride Month?
Homophobia is real, and
Sorry, I cut
I
you
want.
off.
Oh no, you're fine. I want all heterosexual people to be listening to this right now. Just solemn, stone faced, no laughing. This is our month.
This is our special month.
But like, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's that. It's buck wild to think about how young our parents were when they had us. I'm trying to, like, I was the fourth. So, like,
Mm,
my parents were, like, 26, 27, but, like, they
still.
had four boys. Like, good God, and so
Jesus.
I remember myself at 19, I couldn't think about anything beyond, like, stickers. Like, it
Right.
was there was nothing there. So I couldn't imagine having children. And so, like, that kind of similar experience that I think our parents went through, and they can identify with other parents who were similar.
Mm-hmm.
Now we as queer people have our own communities and identities that we get to identify with because we didn't have kids at 19. And
Right.
especially as, like, queer people, like, we get to choose if we bring in children. There are no accidents, and
Right.
so
There's no
um
oops.
there's no oops. We got three kids. Side note, I take a lot of pride in this. All of my brothers were accidents. I was the only one planned. I'm not joking. So, like, I'm like, oh, the actors are talking weird. So, but, like, could you imagine having three kids? Just like,
On accident.
oopsies. Guess
No.
guess what happened? It's
In this
wild.
economy?
And this.
Mama, no. I'm out here
Miserable.
wanting to gallivant out in the nightclubs, you know? I just
Yeah.
I can't I can't even imagine it. But on some level, I mean, I know that I'm old. And I know that well, I say old, like 33 is not that old. I know that I'm older, but like I don't feel mentally 33.
Right.
I feel so much younger. And I can't help but wonder, is that because of my life experiences, the things that I've gone through, being a queer person and just having this sort of second resurgence of me and rediscovering that? Or is that because I don't have kids and I didn't
Mhm.
do all that stuff? Because I feel like my friends that are my age, they feel old.
Mhm. Right. You're so good at getting us back on topic. I just want to say. I see I see the strings here.
I'm a professional.
You're so good at it.
Stop
We
this.
I mean, I think that like, it's an excellent thought process too, because, like, do they feel old because they are now in that track of what our parents and other generations have gone through? Like, they've now kind of leaned into it. Or do they feel old because kids are fucking exhausting? they're doing
Exhausting.
they're doing what we're doing in our lives, but with, like, a little human that needs attention and food and other things that I don't even know. Like medicine, maybe. Uh,
I can't
but
even.
I it is unbelievable to, like, try to imagine my life right now with children, and I couldn't even come close
Yeah.
knowing what that's like. But then, like, trying to imagine myself as, like, 19 with a kid, and then, like, trying to buy a house at the same time, and, like, that's
Unthinkable.
also unthinkable. It's experiences that we have never had. I think um that's one of the biggest challenges of queer people, is, like, still trying to identify ourselves and still trying to be true to who we are, and like, not feel that we're being left behind
Mm-hmm.
or forgotten about or just missing out on something.
Yeah. And I had an intrusive thought that I'm going to share, and it might be a little bit dark, but I mean, when you look at the straight agenda, the life that they ideally want to live, you marry your high school sweetheart, you do the wedding thing, you have kids, you get a house, and then what's next? They go to college and you retire and then you die. Like, that seems like
Death.
such a bleak death to all of them. It just seems like such a bleak route, you know? And I look at
Yeah.
the sort of gay agenda and it's like, have a good time and brunch and just vibe, you know? I don't, there's not these big landmarks. At least when you get past a certain age, once you pass 30, you get into daddy or mommy status, you know? And you're
Mhm.
like, you're in twink death at that point. But it's like, at that point, there's not really a next thing. It's sort of just vibes until you decide that you want to do something else, because we don't have a strict path that we have to follow. So I think by
Mhm.
a certain point, we already realize, oh, I'm in control of my own destiny. I don't have anybody that's around here that's forcing me into a path, because if you have children, you have to do something specific. You have to
Yeah.
always be thinking about the next promotion and what's going to make you the most money, because you got to take care of that kid for 19, maybe 20 years, put him through college, save up enough money that you can actually retire comfortably, have grandkids, and then wait until the inevitable end. Like, it just, I don't know, it doesn't seem colorful. It seems like Oz before Dorothy went to, or Kansas before Dorothy went to Oz, you know?
So maybe this question isn't even like, do queer people experience as like a second adolescent? Is it, do kids fucking suck? Is having kids miserable? Like,
I think it might be.
I think it is. I mean, that you're totally right. Of like, when you have kids, your entire focus now is on that human being.
You're
So
not
like,
living your life anymore. You're living theirs.
yeah, you have to live for them, and so like, you have to think about getting a bigger house. Whereas like right now, I'm in a studio apartment.
Yeah.
Whatever.
My cats don't care how big the apartment is. They'll find a place to sleep wherever they want, you know?
Right, exactly. And so, but like, if I have a kid, well, they need privacy, and they need, yeah. So like, it is a
And adequate shelter, adequate housing. You
Yeah.
don't want them going to school looking like a raggedy mess. You want to at least put a comb through their hair, but you don't need to brush your own wigs.
And then they're gonna. Well, let's not talk about brushing wigs.
I was trying to shade you, but I don't think it worked very well. You don't need to brush your own hair or your own wigs, but you have to brush theirs, you know? You want to
Yeah,
make sure
you
that they look good when they go to school. You don't want them looking a mess. And then you got to make sure that they're going to good places and that they've got adequate means of getting there. And if you only have one car and you need to go to work, you can't. You have to get another one, you know?
Yeah.
And as they get older, if you have more...
And then you have to support their hobbies and like
Exactly.
things that you might not even know about.
Right.
And then they sit you down and they say, "I have to tell you I'm gay," and you go, you know, and like, then you
Bro
pray to
clutch.
Jesus, I guess. I don't know. I'm in the opposite seat here, so I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what they go through, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
like they have their own dramas and their own experiences that like you are kind of the sounding board of, and like
Yeah.
you have to weigh in, and then also you have to have lots of like, oh well, should I just tell them how to do it, or should I let them experience it themselves so that they
Right.
get to learn from it and like create a functioning human being? Like, what does that look like? And a lot of it, let's be real. Let's be so
Honest on the
real.
pod.
Honest on the pod. A lot of parents are not equipped to be parents.
No.
And so like, and that could look financially, that could look, you know, emotionally, that could look physically, that can look, you know, that can look so many different ways. But
Right.
like, a lot of people are just not equipped to be parents. So like, am I putting a human being out there with like trauma? You know, I mean, those are the that like critical thinkers have. So like,
Right.
like if you're not a critical thinker, but like,
Oops.
oopsie poopsies. But like, it is just like there's so much to think. I like kids. Kids are awful. So,
They really
I'm
are.
so-
As I
I'm
listen
so-
to my neighbor next door screaming at the top of her lungs. I don't know if you can hear her, but I keep hearing her through my headphones.
no.
Yeah, like just a lot. And I understand why many people are like, I really want to have a kid and I want to do these things. Like I guess I get it, or I understand on some level, but I don't get it. You know what I mean? And Jake and I talked about this fairly recently because we're getting up there, you know, and we're still not really in a stable place that we would both like to be in ways that we feel like we should be. But I brought it up and I was like, you know, the idea of kids, where are we at? You know, not that I'm looking or thinking about it at all. Just I check in, you know? It's important to do those in a relationship. And he was
Yeah.
like, you know, I just don't want to. And I was like, let's say in the most idealistic form, you and I are in a really good place in like 5-6 years. We have like a really lovely place. We have a lot of money. We're able to travel and do whatever we want. We get into our 40s. How do you feel about adopting? And he just said, I don't really care. I don't know if I want to deal with that. And I just sort of said, okay, well, what about the idea of your lineage passing on and you passing on ideas to the next one? Because that's a big part of having a kid, is that you have your values and you want to express that to somebody else so that they can carry on your like legacy or whatever. And he just said, I don't care about that at all. It doesn't matter to me. I wouldn't be bothered if my genealogy never continued. That'd be fine with me ending. And we were just sort of talking about how that is such an important, critical thing that I think many of our straight counterparts, they want to be able to continue to sort of live on. And that's what a lot of the big draw of having a child is that you get to sort of keep going, you know? And that's just not something that appeals to him or I right now, you know?
Right. And like, how fucking special are you, Bradley, with your thinning hair and heart disease? Like, with your mental health issues that are definitely genetic? Like, what are you putting out there with your little
Right.
crotch goblins? Like, get out of here. Why? Let it end. Let it all end. It's
Right?
fine.
It's
Like,
okay. And that's not why everybody does it, obviously. There are some people that want to have kids because they've got a lot of love to put out into the world
Yeah.
and all of that. And I understand. It's just, it's really interesting to me because I don't know many queer people that are into that. And I think it does go back to what you said. I think many of us see our straight counterparts. We're 20 years old and we're coming out and we start everything over again and we start actually dating. Meanwhile, our straight counterparts are getting married and having kids and they're miserable. They're like, I hate my spouse, I hate my child, I hate my life, I hate my job, and I gotta keep doing it because I can't just leave this kid on the street. I'll go to jail. And I think more parents would, if they could get away with it, I think more parents would neglect their children if they knew that they would be able to get away with it. Because many of my straight friends don't like the life that they're in. And I think we see that in our early 20s and we're like, why would I want to do that?
yeah.
I got no interest in that. That sounds horrible. I can go and wake up at, I don't know, 3 p.m. if I want to. I can go out and party at the nightclub if I want and just have a good time, have a couple drinks, get some good food, and come home and not worry about somebody barking at me who needs to do their science project because they decided they didn't want to do it, or having to negotiate. I have to get to work, but I also have to take care of this child. I have to do this, but I also have to go to soccer practice. And it's like, maybe there's some people might say that's selfish, but isn't that what life is about? Is living for you, right?
Right.
And
So
I don't know.
I'm curious what queer parents go through. Because they're in that middle ground of like, kids suck, but also I chose this.
It's
So,
a lot
like,
of soft parenting, I feel like.
yeah. But I like to go back to the original concept
Yes.
that we're talking about of like milestones and all that. Like we didn't even talk about like queer representation in media
Yeah.
that affects us being able to know who we are or being able
Right.
to like recognize the milestones that our own community goes through, because we're seeing, you know, Saved by the Bell. Sorry, young people. Saved by the Bell is no, I'm joking.
I
But
had
like,
Alpha on when I was a kid.
well, so let me finish my thought, and then we'll come back to Alf. But like,
No, we don't need to. That's
but like
that's
Saved,
okay.
Saved by
Right.
the Bell, where like he has his first kiss and their first holding hands and their first prom, and that's the expectation.
Right.
Which is why Alf is a weird reference, because I don't think Alf had his first kiss. Could you imagine?
It was more just to say that the only different person on TV was Alf.
Could you imagine that little brown furry fuck just like making out? Just fucking slobbering all
With,
over someone.
Oh my God,
Jesus.
Shaka from Fantasy Island, that like gorilla creature.
Oh
You know what
my
I'm talking
god.
about?
Yes, I do.
Shaka. That Alf and Shaka just going to town on each other.
Just getting into it.
Was
Just,
anybody
man.
gay when we were kids on TV? I mean, Ricky Martin, I think everybody kind of knew was fruity, but
Yeah.
I don't know if he was out at the time. He was doing La Vida Loca, where he was dancing with girlies and making it seem like
Yeah.
that's what he was into. But I think we all knew.
The only queer representation that I truly remember was villains, Disney cartoon villains. Jafar,
Jafar
the
was so
devil
queer-coded.
from Cow and Chicken. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's right.
all the
Him,
queer
right?
coding. Him,
From
yeah.
Powerpuff Girls too.
Like queer coding was a huge issue in our childhood, because like all the queer people that we saw on media and presentation were villains. And then now we grow up in an age where the saying is "be gay, do crime," and everyone's so fucking surprised. Like, what did you think was gonna happen?
You told us we
Mary?
were
Like,
villains our whole life, of course.
now we're doing crime. But like,
Right.
or like the episode, I remember an episode of Cheers where the whole episode was them talking about queerness because two guys sat at a table and drinking beer, and the two guys had like one line in the entire show, but it was a whole episode about like queerness. I wonder what their lives are like. And
Yeah.
like this whole thing where like it was ostracized. It was a unique thing to be queer.
Yeah.
In our childhood. And so like now it's like more media representation. It's popular Netflix shows and movies about queer people. It's less of those tropes where like the queer person falls in love with the straight person and they can't have them, or the queer man falls in love with, they can't have them, or the lesbian die at the end. You know, like all those tropes
Bury
are
your
like ebbing
gays.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like those tropes are ebbing away, and now it's just like, I don't know. Also, they're gay. Like, who fucking cares? Can I swear on this?
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh, good. Okay.
You're fine.
I've sworn so much already, but like, and so like those are kind of the same. Like, if we're not looking to our straight colleagues and you know classmates about like milestones that they're reaching, and we're also not looking towards our parents who had different experience and milestones, then we look to media and the representation there. And so it's just like ingrained in us that it is a high school sweetheart to marriage to
Pipeline.
You buy a property to child to dead.
Right.
middle dead. And that's, but like, I don't know, as queer people, like we already have kind of shucked a lot of the standard norm of our society and our community, and kind of milestones and different outcomes that just we get to experience and love ourselves for and explore what that looks like. And so this is all to say that milestones are bullshit.
They
and
are
garbage and deserve to be in the trash can.
They really are. They're complete bullshit. It's complete garbage. Live your life for you and do what makes you happy. And I mean, personally, maybe this is a more shared opinion than I think it is, but I don't think that we had to go through 18 years of utter trauma of school and bullying and high school drama and all of that nonsense to immediately jump into it all over again with another person. You know, as like a baby doing that all over again and having to witness all that. I feel like we go through all that to be able to have a shot at being just us as adults, you know, getting to live our life and getting to explore everything that's here on this earth that is ours to see and to experience, you know? And so I don't know. I think that the mile markers, especially here in the US, in the States, it's so silly now, and I think many of us are realizing that.
Fully agree. And I think too, like, for queer people, there may be a price to pay at the beginning of your life, but then you get to be who you are. And I don't think a lot of our straight colleagues, heterosexual colleagues, can say the same. So
Right.
I think it's worth it. Now I'm just sitting here with a glass of wine, just being gay on a Saturday, whatever, sucking dick and cock.
Sucking dick and cock.
Oh.
Yeah, moving us to kind of a wrap up place here. I think we've already said so much about it, but yeah, these landmarks are stupid, and I think many straight people are kind of coming around. I think a lot of our straight counterparts are kind of understanding this, and I'm meeting more and more straight women who are just like, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have a kid. I just want to live my life and do what I'm doing and enjoy it. And if a man or a woman happens, you know, because so many are realizing that their sexuality has been so what is the word? It's not heteronormatized, but it's been so patriarchal in nature that people are realizing, like, maybe I'm not fully straight like I thought I was. Maybe I do have interest in other people. Maybe I don't need to just be this block. Maybe I can be more, because sexuality is so fluid, and gender is so fluid and all of that. And I think many of our straight colleagues are realizing this. So like, I'm going to live my life, and if somebody comes into it, whoever that person may be, sure, maybe I'll live my life with them and maybe I'll have a family with them, but it's not on the horizon necessarily. And I think that's cool.
I do too. I fully agree. And I think what I'm hearing you say essentially is that heterosexual men are garbage and the rest of us can be better without them. So live your truth and no, I'm joking.
Please. Oh no.
No. Cut this part.
I'll cut it. And I'll do the SpongeBob 2 hours later. Like, hiding that part. I'll bleep over it so it'll be a mystery and nobody will know what we said.
I love that. Alternatively, this is good. That 60-minute special of like the piece of this audio clip, and then it's like, and then he committed crime. Man.
I do. That's like my last thing. I love that straight men are being called out, though. Please wash your butt, men out there. Please wash your butt.
Please. It's so easy. Just turn around.
Right. It's not gay to tickle your booty. It's not. I promise. It's gay if you suck dick and like it.
It's gay if you invite me in to wash your butt. Not even. There's a line. But, like, we'll figure it out together. Well, I'm inside you.
There's this guy that makes TikToks, and he made one the other day. He's like, is it gay if you're circle jerking with your bros and you make eye contact with each other? Like,
no.
What is this question?
Maybe we have missed some experiences in high school.
I think we missed something. This current generation are wild and out in these people's country out here. It's crazy. But thank you again for doing this with me. I had so much fun. I love having you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
I had so much fun. And for everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to come back next week with a more Grin and M for more Drag Race. Happy freaking Pride Month. Remember, you're doing a fantastic job. You're doing the best that you can, and that is all you can do. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Goodbye.